It's your boy Concert Vids 34. I got a special video for you today, reflecting on the 20th anniversary of the last Whalers game, which was April 13th, 1997. Today is April 13th, 2007. So we have that 20-year gap between me being at that last game and me being in front of you in the camera right now. So this is not the typical music review or uh, live video from a concert I've been to or checked out in the last week or so. This is actually just to talk about my experiences. So there's people that are older than me that were diehard Whalers fans. They experienced the ups and downs through the 80s and 90s. I'm 6.5 at the time, so I remember the game. There's people younger than me that either were at that game as a baby, as someone who was 3 or 4 who doesn't really remember it that much, or there's people that just when they were born after the Whalers ever existed in Hartford, and they were told stories about the Whalers. And all these people that live in the Hartford area, they have different perspectives and different analysis. I'm just going to give mine. So first 4 years of my life, I was obsessed with basketball. My dad loved basketball. My uncle played basketball through high school. So it was a big part of my life. We moved to a different town in Hartford area, and it's a hockey town. Go to preschool, before and after care, people are playing hockey. And that's when I fell in love at age 5. So before the last Whalers game, I had a year and a half or so of hockey obsession. And if you have kids or you remember as a kid, when you love something as a kid, that's all you care about. So even though it was a year and a half, I watched tons of hockey on TV, Rangers and Whalers. I was playing street hockey. I got all these hockey gifts, and I was talking about hockey. One of the big things, at least personally, is my dad had the same or similar experience as he moved from Virginia to Framingham, Mass, outside of Boston when he was 7. So him at least watching those Bobby Orr teams, Brad Park, Gary Cheevers, and some of those other legends, while he was he was more obsessed with other sports, but he watched all those games, all those teams that were on TV. He encouraged my hockey love, even though that wasn't his number one sport, and he knew about the game very well for someone who didn't play. So my dad took me to my first game in '96, October 30th. Islanders came to town. This is obviously after the championship teams, well after, because it was '96. So I got to see them play the Whalers, and that was awesome. I was in the skybox. Second game ever is the last Whalers game. I do remember going there. I do remember being able to leave church early, which was kind of cool, because back in those days, church was really long. But one of the things that was cool about this last Whalers game was we were a couple rows from the penalty box. So for the first time ever, seeing the speed and size of these guys, seeing how hard the hits were, was something that only propelled my love for hockey and what would eventually get me into playing youth hockey, and then high school hockey, and then club hockey in college. So this game was monumental in showing me what hockey was like up close and personal. Now, I can be honest, and sometimes I've bent this story talking to people at, if anyone lives in the Hartford area, the Meadows, you're always talking about the Whalers there on the way to the concerts. I may have embellished or said stuff that, oh yeah, I was a Whalers fan, da 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 da. But I really wasn't a Whalers fan per se. I had been to a game, like I said, in '96, same season, but the October game. I just loved hockey, and I didn't have a team, so I was just happy to be there. So I'm not really someone who had that Whalers blood in them at age 6.5. So I was just amazed at the game. Took observations of this team was leaving, and I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know the politics behind it. I didn't understand the financial issues and the games that were played, as far as, hey, you got to raise a certain amount of season tickets or we're leaving. And the Whalers raised that as far as the fan base, the booster club, everyone gets it done, and the Whalers still leave. So I was just there observing. It was amazing, and it's kind of one of those things you don't know what you got till it's gone, because that was my last game for NHL hockey in downtown Hartford. So after that game, I didn't have the emotional hurt of some of these Whalers fans who were there through only a couple, I believe 3 winning seasons. that just went day in and day out or whenever they could to see the Whalers, even though they weren't a successful team. But I respect those people, and that's one thing to keep in mind if you are younger, that these Whalers fans, they were not like other markets that, you know, dipped and dashed when teams were bad. They stayed there. They stayed buying season tickets, supporting this team, and it really proved how good of a hockey market Hartford was. You got a losing team that fans are still showing up for, buying merchandise for. Um, Now, after that game, some time passes. It's the fall of 97, and the Wolfpack come in. I got to experience the Wolfpack because I was starting to, I turned 7, and then 8, 9, 10. The first couple years of the Wolfpack felt like almost like that last Whalers game in a sense. It wasn't the same. Every game got a little less and less important. But when the Wolfpack first came, people supported them for a minor league team better than any other minor league team you could see in the American Hockey League at the time. Team came from Binghamton, New York, Binghamton Rangers, slide down to Hartford, that open market, and they were the Hartford Wolfpack. As time got on, I got to see some great players, Mark Savard, Tim Thomas when he would come into town with the Providence Bruins, and later on Ryan Callahan. There's probably some other players I'm forgetting, but it was cool to see that minor league talent. But as time went on, I started to realize this is not the NHL. I latched away and turned away from the Wolfpack a little bit in the mid 2000s. Actually, I would say it started in 2001, 2002. But as soon as Keith Primo got traded from the Carolina Hurricanes to the Philadelphia Flyers, I became much more of an observant fan of the Flyers because I loved Eric Lindros, I loved John LeClair, but now we have Keith Primo, who I remember seeing with that number 55 with the Whalers that last game. Now he has a 25 with the Flyers. And then you got Sammy Kapanen, there again, a younger player with the last Whalers season. He became a Flyer as well. I started doing more research. Kevin Dineen was a Flyer. There's some other players that went back and forth between those organizations. So the Philadelphia Flyers became my team, especially when you get to about 2004, 2005, and I'm a diehard fan. That's one of the interesting things about Hartford in this area after the Whalers left. Again, a lot of the people that are older than me were able to go to other teams, but there are many that just didn't pick a team for hockey after that, or couldn't pick a team for years because of their ties to the Whalers. And the Bruins were looked down on us. The Rangers looked down on the Hartford market, and the Whalers were here. So why would I support those teams? But I was able to pick a team, and to this day, I will drive down back when the Islanders were at the Nassau Coliseum. I'd drive down there pretty much any chance I could get. And then I go up to Boston all the time. Since 2014, I've missed one regular season Flyers game at the TD Garden, which was a couple months ago. I went in January, but the next one I didn't go to. So I'm a diehard Flyers fan. And kids born after me, the further you get from my age, again, I'm 26, when you get to 24, 23, 22, 21, the more you'll see kids that just never, they grew up with the memories of the Whalers being told by grandparents or parents, but they never actually were alive during the Whalers run. They just go straight to the Bruins, Boston sports family, Patriots, Red Sox, Celtics. They just latch onto the Bruins. You got some people, I live in Hartford County, so you got people that have more of a Fairfield or New Haven County family. They're Rangers fans or Islanders fans. And then you have kids that started watching hockey as they got into their teenage years. That testosterone starts getting big, and they became fans of teams that were good, like the Avalanche. There's some Avalanche fans out here. Devils had those amazing runs with Scott Steven and Niedermeyer and all those, Brodeur. And then you have kids that now, recently in the last 10 years, Penguins fans because of Crosby, or Blackhawks fans. Hey, they're bandwagon, but hey, they love hockey, so I can't knock them. But a lot of Blackhawks fans popped up as soon as those Blackhawks fans dominated the new salary cap era. They got a lot of fans. And then you got the Joel Quenneville connection. So he was in Hartford, so people, oh yeah, we love the Blackhawks. Now, what I'll say is, again, there's different eras of people and how this last Whalers game affected them. There are a lot of people who still think the Whalers are going to come back, especially those who were there during the times. The reality is, as we look forward to what may happen next, is look, the Whalers. If the NHL comes back, I will buy a season ticket plan, whether it's in the upper deck and I only can afford the upper deck, or I buy a partial game in the upper deck and get some lower deck seats every now and then. I will financially support a team in Hartford. But the reality is, our arena situation is very shoddy. You got a market like Quebec who built a new arena without the promise of any NHL. Where do you think they're moving first? We also have the issue of the uneven conferences and expansion issues. So, is anyone going to pay that high price tag for an expansion fee to move to Hartford? I don't think so. But as far as the conference shift, as soon as Detroit moved east, and then obviously Winnipeg moved to the west, but there's still the conferences aren't even. We're down, a couple of teams, even with Vegas opening up. Eastern Conference has way too many teams, and I don't think competitively they're gonna let a Western team like Arizona move to Hartford. Bettman already isn't. It's not whatever Bettman wants. Most likely will happen. Bettman's not saying I want a team back in Hartford. So what really has to happen is, first, Hartford, we got to get our act together financially. Connecticut overall, we got to be in better financial footing. We need to fix our roads. We need to balance our budget sheet. We need to consider figuring out what we can do with the XL Center, at least for a minor league and concert purpose, to bring revenue in. And then once we get those things, if they ever get under control, we have to have an owner who wants to invest in this market. Some of you may know, if you're sports fans, people like Robert Kraft for the Patriots, he literally paid for the majority of Gillette Stadium. That's a huge thing to ask, but the guy had the money and he put his money where his mouth was. I respect Robert Kraft for doing that. We need someone like him. Someone like Jerry Jones, who obviously Dallas is, Cowboys, America's team. He put a lot of his own money into the Cowboys project. Hartford cannot be hustled or hoodwinked, just like we were with the Patriots. I don't knock Kraft for doing what he did because he put his money up in Foxborough, got a better deal. But we cannot be hoodwinked or tricked into signing a deal where Hartford's putting up all this money so this owner has no risk. And that's actually one of the issues I see now is I'm on the message board. Shout out to all people watching from the Hartford Whalers current message board. But I'm seeing all these hopes and dreams of, there's this secret investment group with Malloy, and there's this and that going on, and they're taking a look. That's great. Hey, whoever wants to come to Hartford and see how we are, and we're diehard hockey fans here, okay? You got Bruins fans, Rangers fans, like I said, all sorts of fans. We have some of the best preparatory hockey players out of Avon Old Farms. Nick Bonino's in the NHL right now with the defending Stanley Cup Penguins. We have Jonathan Quick out there who won a cup already. Chris Clark, who was an old Capitals captain and Flames captain. He grew up in South Windsor. So we have a lot of great talent, great hockey culture. But we need someone who's going to put the money up so that Hartford doesn't take all the risk in this. And that's what's going to be hard. Who's going to put their money up? What bank is going to put themselves on a line to finance this? And that's what Hartford needs. It can't be something where Hartford's assuming all the risk. We need an owner who loves the city, who has the money, millionaire, billionaire, or has an investment group that will put their money up. Because if not, don't even bother offering us to come back, because we do not want to get hustled over. We just had some issues with the ballpark, with the Yargos. Ironically, first game at home is today, the 20th anniversary of the Whalers' last game. But look, you need to put your money up, and we need to see your faces. The funny thing is, and this is the thing, and I respect everyone on these message boards. I respect the fans who before me supported this Whalers team in the WHA. But the reality is, we can't be overly excited about people who are allegedly meeting in the dark with Malloy, or meeting in the dark with congressmen and women to say, hey, we're kind of interested. If you're into it, let it be known that you want to bring hockey back to Hartford. Put it on Twitter, social media. Go on ESPN. Bristol's right down the road. They're pretty East Coast biased. Go to ESPN and say, hey, we're starting this investment group. We would love to bring it back because if you look at the Raiders in the NFL, it's a different beast. But the Raiders have been 100% upfront in the face of Oakland. They voted they're in a different financial situation. They voted for these hotel taxes and different things. You had banks who openly said, we will finance this if the Oakland Raiders can be the Las Vegas Raiders. Hartford has none of that, and that's what we need. And the other thing, too, is we also need to find a team. Like I said, the teams from the West are not coming east. I would hope that expansion doesn't continue too much because the product is great where it's at. We got a lot of young kids. We got a lot of veterans. I hope we don't expand too much. And again, the expansion fee is very expensive. I don't think someone's going to pay that and pay for a lot of the stuff in Hartford. They're either going to pay that expansion fee and expect Hartford to really put more money up for the arena, but we suffer in the end. So we really need an ideal perfect storm. Otherwise, look, hockey, and again, just to say it bluntly, I don't think hockey's coming back anytime soon. But if it does, again, I'll be the first kid to sign up and put my credit card deposit in and things like that. What we can do as a market right now is, first off, we have UConn hockey downtown. I've been to games. I doubted UConn hockey coming to Hartford. I didn't know how it was going to work. I'm the first person to say I was wrong. We can support UConn hockey. That's our team. And that's the difference between the Wolfpack and UConn hockey is I've seen such great games as far as the energy in the XL Center, seeing them beat BU, seeing Quinnipiac come into town and we almost beat them. We had them up for the first period. Hey, we're developing in this Hockey East thing and playing tougher talent. But we played that team good this year. We played BC fairly well. They slipped away at the end, but UConn hockey is a perfect for now team for Hartford, and even if a pro team comes back, they can still play downtown. We can support both. But the reality is, I don't see a team coming back soon. The next thing we need to do is figure out financially how we can get a new arena here. It doesn't have to be a 20,000 seat arena. Shoot, Boston is like 17 and change. It's a very small arena. I was just out there. If you see my John Mayer review, I've been to a bunch of different arenas in the last year I haven't been to before, and I mean, Boston's fairly small, but we can, if the NHL works with us or if things happen, let's just build or renovate what we have here when the finances come available. Let's not go broke as far as the government, Hartford or the state. But when we can, and hopefully it happens soon, let's find the money to just get a 15,000 seat arena, a 16,000 seat arena, and see what the NHL says from there. Because with the TV money coming in, if they could get a team back in the Hartford market, and it's I'm saying like way down the road, at least we'll have something that's newer. You see stadiums like in Boston that are back in the mid '90s, they're lasting a lot longer than things built in the '80s, like in Joe Louis Arena, or that may have been '79. I can't remember. But anyway, the point is, you build an arena now, it can last for much longer. So let's just try to get an arena. Based on that, let's also see what we can get for events in Hartford. If there's some sort of, I know they're trying to find that $250 million for the XL Center. If we can somehow get this thing looking much better, bigger bathrooms, bigger concourse, at a reasonable rate, let's start bringing in the NCAA tournament. I just was in Kansas City for that, and I mean, it brought in tons of money for the economy of Kansas City at the beautiful Sprint Center. So they would easily put a first or second round game in Hartford. For the men, for the women, it's a no-brainer. They might even have the Final Four in Hartford, if they built a new arena, or maybe not. I know there's a lot of warmer cities NCAA likes. Anyway, the point is we got to find something for the concerts and for the UConn basketball, UConn hockey that's more affordable and realistic. I still think the state has a lot of issues, so if the money doesn't get completed the next year, I understand. If it gets stalled out, if it's slower, hey, we need to fix our roads first. We need to help our schools first. And that's the thing is these arenas, as much as beautiful as they are, they don't educate the kids in the local community. So, we'll see what happens. Again, I don't see the Whalers coming back anytime soon, but I'll be the first person to sign up for any sort of plan, exploratory. Even if it's a deposit and you're not guaranteed tickets, I will put money down because I love the city of Hartford. I love the history of the Whalers, and I love hockey. But that's pretty much it. Leave your comments below. Tell me what you think. Do you think the Whalers will come back? What do you think about the odds of a team even considering Hartford? And what do you want to see in the next 15, or even as we look at the 20th anniversary, what do you want to see in the next 20 years go down for hockey or other minor league or major league teams in the Hartford area? Again, Concert Viz 34. Definitely subscribe, like my videos, and check out all the amazing concerts I've been to in the last 3 or 4 years. But again, we're going to remember the Whalers today and forward on every day in the legacy they made. But thanks for watching, guys.